So my phone decided to cut off pretty much 30 seconds before I was done reading. So here we go again. Storytime with Princess Amma, Part 8. Amma went to the market for groceries and wine. The king had ordered her away for a few hours. She assumed it was to fool around with his mistresses and to gossip with them. Amma returned 3 hours later, but she decided to walk around the shadows of the palace before entering, as much time as she could spend away from the palace, and outside of the palace she would. Amma didn't care that the king had mistresses. The thing that bothered her was that they were treated more like queens than she was. They got a say in what he would do when gathering soldiers. His favorite mistress, Alana, had been privileged with the job of choosing which lady in the kingdom was to marry her son, to marry Amma's son. The king never thought about Amma. It was as if he tried to forget that she even bore him a son. "Your Majesty, I'm honored." Alana would bow to him and take her leave with the other maidens. Amma would walk past them and hear them gossip as if she were no better than a servant girl. If the king treats her like this, then everybody treats her like this. Amma would hear them say, "I was told that she pretty much just gave up on the prince, that she left the king to take care of the poor boy." Amma would always become red in the face when her son was brought into gossip. Amma was the only one to bathe him, to educate him, and risk her life trying to get him food from the market. Amma was the only one who showed him any kind of love. The king would yell and throw things at the boy when he was a baby. He was a particularly loud baby, always crying. The king, in his alcoholic fits, scarred her son. On his left shoulder, the prince bare a scar that looks like the sun on a stick. Amma gritted her teeth and walked briskly past the ladies and out of the palace to her horse in the garden. "A horse ride will do me good," she thought. Amma had gotten onto her horse and was moments away from taking off when the king came drunkenly storming out, demanding that she get off of her horse. She just looked at him. "I'm going on a ride, my king. I shall return shortly." Amma turned her head away from the king and began to ride, but the king grasped her calf very tight. Amma smelled the wine on his breath. She looked at how much height she had on him, due to her being on a horse. And then she had an idea. Amma whistled to her horse as loud as she could. She spat on the face of the king and kicked him away from her. Her whistle told her horse to run as fast as he could. Her horse. The horse took off at enormous speeds. The king, wiping her spit from his face, commanded 5 guards to go after her and to capture her. She would be stoned to death for what she had just done. And this is it. This is her only chance to escape or to die trying. She kicked her horse again. "Yeah!" And the horse sped up. She yanked the reins to the right and started heading towards the mountains. There, she had heard rumors, which resided a communistic village. No one royal, no one slave. That was her first destination. There is where she planned on hitching camp and beginning her plan to a good future for her and her daughter. The king's men were close at first, but they had lost sight due to the dimming of the daylight. They couldn't see Amma. She wore black robes and had a black horse. They wouldn't be able to see her until daybreak. Amma rode her horse to the furthest water mass. That was 300 miles away from the mountains. There is where she decided to hitch camp. She used her head wrap as a tent and rested her head on the warm, hard ground. She fell asleep almost instantly. She had never felt more comfortable or more safe in her entire life. Yay, the adventure begins!